Hello everyone, my name is Liza and welcome to the Little Hedge Grove. Today I'm going to start a series that has to do with the Fae, and it's taken me a while to get around to doing this because I have authored a book on the Fae based upon my channeling that I have done with a particular Fae that is friendly with me and has kind of bonded with me over the past several years. And I didn't really want it to cross where people knew who exactly I was, from the author. So I was kind of hesitant about this, but I really want to share and I really want to talk about the Fae. So I'm going to get started on this today. And today, the first part of this, we're going to talk about just the basics. Who are the Fae? There is a lot of information out there. A lot of it is, misinterpreted. It's different ideas that people have had from, stories and things like that. But I'm going to give you information that I've actually channeled through with my Fae friend that has been willing to share some things with me. So let's get started on that. Okay, so over the course of this series, I may dispel a few misconceptions about the Fae as we go along. Who are the Fae? Let's first get away and answer that question. The Fae are beings that have spawned from nature. They are not demons, they are not fallen angels, they do not correspond with any kind of human religion. They are not created by humans in any particular way. They are not related to gods. They are beings of themselves, and they spawn from nature and her elements. There's no real specific names for them. I'm using Fae as an umbrella term that covers all different types of Fae. There are thousands of different kinds of species of Fae, and they what's the word I'm looking for? they cover all different cultures. They're everywhere. They're not just in, the Celtic types of places. They're everywhere that there is nature. And that doesn't even involve just on Earth. Nature is everything. Nature is also like the stars. It's the other cosmos out there in the universe. It's other dimensions. There are Fae anywhere that there is nature makeup. And they spawn from these different things. Another thing that is a slight misconception about the Fae is that there are all these courts and certain things that they're involved in. And I'm telling you right now, it's not like how we perceive it. We're looking at Fae through our own perceptive lenses, and we see things in a very humanized perception. We see things as, kings, queens. There's the royal court of this and the royal court of that. And the truth is that these are human perceptions. It's how we're taking something that we don't understand, filtering it through our human ways of understanding it, and putting it out into our stories, into our lore, into our, as a way that we can understand it and relate to something that we honestly do not understand and can't relate to, because they're so beyond where our human understanding and our filters come into play. What they are affiliated with are different aspects of nature. They're affiliated with different elements. They're affiliated with different, things like even dreams. Like they can be affiliated with dreams. They could be affiliated with air. They can be affiliated with water. They can be affiliated with winter, different seasons they can be affiliated with as well. They can be affiliated to the sun specifically, the trees. There are all these different affiliations. There's like millions. I mean, if we even go past the whole thing of they're not just on Earth, nature's everywhere. We're talking about quadrillion types of different kinds of fae that are affiliated with different things, because nature has many, many different affiliations. And nature as well, like I said, is not just the plants, the trees, the water. Nature is also thought. Nature is also dreams. Nature is also the stars out there in other galaxies. And, nature is the makeup of all that is basically living life of any kind of sort. It's the basic ground of what is out here. And so those are things that they're affiliated with. They do have, their friend groups and things like that. But they're not people. They really are not people. They have their own way of doing things. They do not have structures that we have. And that's another big thing too, is they do not belong in structures. They're wild. They're raw nature. They have a very wild essence to them, and they do not follow like rules and things like that you would think of, like, oh, here's the leader and here's the knight and the court, and that kind of structure does not belong with Fae. Just like that kind of structure does not belong to the wind. The wind doesn't follow a structure. It's things like that. Those concepts are things that we have used to understand something that we do not fully understand, because we can't. Our own bodies and the way our minds work in this limited human form cannot fully perceive and understand exactly where they are and what they are. We're just using the best that we can to help describe them. So a big question is, what about like Tatiana? What about the Queen of Fae and all of this stuff? And I'm telling you now, what I have gotten through my channeling is that there's no queen figure like a person. That's again a human conceptualized idea of how they're structuralizing their government, and they don't follow like that. What they do follow is they follow nature's laws, nature's rules. So this figure of this, Queen of Fae is more, from what I've gathered through the channeling, is more of a Mother Nature essence. They follow Mother Nature. And you can humanize Mother Nature into a woman sitting out in the forest on a throne. Sure, if that's how it helps us to visualize and understand it, but she is not actually a human woman sitting on a throne. She's Mother Nature. She is like an essence of nature, is what the Fae follow. And they follow the rules of nature is what they are following. Not a court system with a woman sitting there, telling them, this is what we're doing in our court today, and fighting with the winter court and the summer court. And it makes for great stories, some great romance novels going on there, but that's not really what's happening with Fae. And that also brings upon another topic. There's no good or bad Fae as well. There's no dark court, light court. There's Fae that affiliate to literal light. There's Fae that are affiliated to literal darkness, but it's not a good or bad type of a thing. They don't follow polar ideas. Fae are between. They're a between being. They're between this world and the spiritual world, or their plane is the best way I can describe it. They're between worlds here and there, and both places at the same time. They're contradictions. They're a contradiction and they're not a contradiction. They're good, but they're also not good. They're also, they're between. They're always in a state of between. There's no polar ideas, because polar ideas, according to the Fae channel, are limiting aspects. If you're only on this end, there's no flexibility. If you're only on this end, those are cages, those are rules, those are binding, and things that bind sicken and kill the Fae. The Fae need to be free and wild. They are not bound types of beings who can be structured into a box. Those kinds of ideals kill Fae or make them very, very ill. So that is not what's happening. There's no good or bad Fae. They're always in between, which is something that you need to be aware of as well if you're going to be working with Fae. Because Fae are not always this idea of these light givers who are, flitting around with little wings, granting wishes and being all sweet and let's all love the earth and be together. I mean, they do love the earth, but that is not who Fae really are. Those are some humanized ideas that sound wonderful, but Fae are not really like that. They are between species. They are a between species. If you are going to work with Fae, you need to be aware of that. That even if they are kind to you and very hospitable, you can't lock them into that as that's who they are. That's binding. They can also be mischievous. They can also harm people. They can also cause revenge and, they can do some dangerous things. They can actually really, be vengeful. They tend to, on a whole, I'm not speaking for all of them. They are also individuals. I'll get to that in a minute. But as a species, they can be like they're like nature. Like a warm breeze can be comforting and feel so nice and make you feel really good. But wind can also be a hurricane and completely come in and crash your house. And that is a very good depiction of the Fae. They act as nature. They can be both good and bad. It depends on their mood, depends on what's going on. So you need to be aware of that if you're going to be working with them. There's no good or bad Fae. Okay, another aspect of the Fae that people need to be aware of is that Fae are excellent at glamoring. Fae will appear to someone if they want to be seen. And not only that, is they will appear how they want to be seen. And usually it's to the best method to gain an effect of what they're looking for when they're interacting with you. So yes, you can say, but you're saying there's no fairy queen? I have to differ. I saw one. I saw this beautiful woman. She was wearing the crown. She was a fairy queen. And I'm telling you, you know what? Yes, you're probably right. You did probably see her. And that's what they wanted you to see. Because they will appear how they think they will interact with you best. So if they wanted to come across to you to show you that, oh, we're Fae and they're going to appear as something that maybe that you would recognize as being a Fae. And in that aspect, maybe it was this beautiful woman. They've also used, oh, my cat's sitting high. They've also used glamours, for eons to look like mortal, human mortal beings to get what they want. That's why you have those stories of, Fae appearing as gorgeous women to lure people, into dangerous situations. And then the people end up dying or disappearing because they followed this beautiful, loving, woman-looking, type of a being. And they're just doing exactly what they want to do. They are masking, they're illusioning, they're Fae do not look like people. As much as we might want to think that they look like us with wings or beautiful, glamorous people, They are not human people. They're very different beings that glamour so that we will interact with them, or they will get what they want from us. And usually it's a luring type of look. So you're not going to usually see a fae out there and be like, oh my God, I'm terrified, because it's some like, scraggly creature or something from the forest. That's not how they normally appear to people. They normally appear to people in a way that you're going to feel relaxed or lured. Like, oh my gosh, this essence is so, attractive. I have to go follow them. I have to keep looking. They're drawing me. They have a very drawing presence. And that's more how fae work. They're not here to scare you away. They lure you into what they want. So you need to be very careful about that. Also, when working with fae, that if you do see a fae, to respect the fact that that might not really be exactly what you're seeing. You could even be looking at a beautiful woman, fae, and it might not even be a woman. Although that's another thing too. Man, woman are also very polar ideas. They are kind of between. So keep that in mind as well about that issue too. So that's one thing too. One thing to be very aware of though when working with fae is respect. Respect is an absolute must when working with the fae. They take very much offense to rudeness, meaning if you have all these preconceived ideas about fae and are like, well, I'm not going to deal with fae. So if a fae appears at your house and you're like, get out of here, fae, I banish you, do. That is rude. I mean, I'm not against not protecting yourselves. Of course, always protect yourselves. But I'm telling you from the fae's perspective that I've been channeling, it comes across that's rude. Because to them, you're supposed to be hospitable. You're supposed to be the polite one. They don't have to be, but you have to be. You need to be always welcoming to your neighbors. And that's who they are. There are neighbors, okay? It'd be the same way as if, a human came to visit your house. You're expected to be hospitable and kind. Do you want a drink of water? Would you like a cup of tea while you're here? That kind of interaction. You're not going to have someone walk to your door and all of a sudden, pull out a gun and say, get off my, well, some people do, but I'm just saying it's rude if the person hasn't done anything to you and they're just honestly trying to just say, hey, we're the neighbors. We just wanted to say hi. And that's kind of the relationship that the fae are expecting. They're expecting more of a neighborhood or neighborly kind of an interaction. They will become very offended if they have not done anything and you are being offensive. If you are putting up words and you're saying, get lost, they're going to take that very offensively, especially if they haven't done anything. If they're just poking their heads around or even just being like a little mischievous here and there, moving things around your home, which they all, a lot of the ones that live, that frequent homes tend to be like that. Not all fae even frequent homes. There's a lot that won't have anything to do with people. But those ones, a lot of times they don't understand that what they're doing might be freaking you out. Okay. I will admit that, I've had some very active, fae in my house. Not so much this house here, but a house that I had before here. Some very active, fae type entities where things were moving and things, my electricity would shut off in particular rooms and not others. And, I'd be doing something and, excuse me, it would turn off and turn back on, and I would feel little touches and little tickles and pinches and things, and I'm like, when I wasn't used to this at first, it freaked the hell out of me. I thought it was like some ghost or something, some poltergeist in my house. I'm like, okay, this is actually really creepy. But then I realized they don't understand how we think, okay? They're a very different culture. Think of it as like as a culture, okay? Different cultures have different ways of interacting. They have different ways of understanding things and socializing and things like that. And they're like that. They're a whole different species of culture, and they don't understand sometimes what they're doing, even if they're not meaning to be mean. You know, they might not be meaning to be mean. They may just be playing. You know, think of it as like as children, where children sometimes will play and they don't understand either their strength, they don't understand that it's annoying you, they just think they're playing. And that's a lot of the way that you have to kind of mentally, you know, think about when you're dealing with a fae in your home or somewhere around wherever you're living. Kind of think of it as like a child where they don't understand, and you have to kind of respectfully, I mean, don't treat them like a child. Do not patronize them. That will really piss them off. But mentally think of it kind of like them not realizing what they're doing, how it affects you. Okay, so instead of being like, oh my God, and being all scared and get out of here, talk to them. Be like, you know, I love having you here. You know, please enjoy yourselves. It does bother me a little bit though when you pull my hair when I'm not expecting it. You know, can you please just do that like when I know you're here first? Or, you know, I really can't have my keys keep disappearing. I'm gonna get in trouble if I don't make it to work on time. It's a human thing. I know you don't understand, but with humans, we have to be certain places at certain times. And, you know, I love having you here. You know, you've got to interact. You've got to talk to them a little bit about these things. And sometimes they'll be receptive. You know, they'll just be like, okay, like I didn't know. Other times they might be like, hee hee hee, well, that's even funnier. You know, fae do tend to feed off of like, you know, getting a rise out of people too. So you have to kind of be careful of that too. But my thing is, communication is key. Communication is really key with fae. And last but not least, speaking of, you know, thinking things are poltergeists in your home, how can you tell the difference between what is actually a fae and what is like a ghost or another kind of a spirit? For one thing, the biggest thing is fae are living beings. They're alive. Ghosts are dead. They're deceased. Fae have bodies. We may not see their bodies unless they want us to see them, but they actually do have a real body, a physical being. Fae also can get sick because they're alive. Fae can die because they're alive. They don't want us to really know that, but it is true. They can get harmed, they can get sick, and if you're a ghost and you're dead, those things cannot happen. So that's one of the biggest differences. So yeah, I think that's enough for today. Stay tuned because I will continue more on this. There is a bunch more different kinds of topics on fae that I will be covering in different, in the series I'm starting. So, but this is your general overview of who are the fae, and I hope this was helpful. Maybe a little eye-opening, I don't know. But like and subscribe for more of the series to come. Thank you.